So we've already looked at, or we've already discussed the Windows Auto Enrollment setting, but just to reiterate, at the outset, when you're about to allow your users to enroll devices, you need to go and configure the MDM user scope over in Intune so that anybody that Azure AD joins or Azure AD registers a Windows device will also automatically enroll. So that saves them having to do it in 2 steps. The enrollment status page, I normally only use that for out-the-box provisioning. So for new computers, in other words, turned on for the first time, whether or not that's being used by Autopilot. Typically, of course, Autopilot is the primary means in which you would use out the box. You don't normally allow your users just to set up a machine from scratch by themselves. So it's normally an out the box via Autopilot. But whether it's out the box generic or out the box Autopilot, you'll normally want to turn on the status page for that so that users can see what's happening as they perform the enrollment automatically in the background because you've configured the preceding setting. Then they will see that that's what's happening. They will see that there is status occurring. And we saw, or we went through Autopilot in an earlier session, and we learned how that's affected for the users. So enrolling Windows devices can be achieved in a number of different ways. You can add a work or school account in the settings app for a computer that's already running Windows. And when you do that, based on the settings in your organization, it will Azure AD join or register. And then if you've got automatic enrollment set, it will also automatically enroll the device. You can enroll it only in the mobile device management. So you may already have added the account and then chosen not to have auto enrollment set, in which case the user then needs to enroll only in MDM, and they do that again through the settings app. You can perform an Azure AD join during out the box, either through Autopilot or otherwise, and if you've got the necessary settings, both of which we just looked at, then a consequence of that is auto enrollment. You can enroll in MDM using only a device enrollment manager. So a device enrollment manager is an individual with the capabilities of performing the enrollment they'll go to a user's machine and perform that enrollment task. You can implement Azure AD join using a bulk enrollment, and that's normally initiated using a provisioning package from the Windows Configuration Designer. One of the options that you have in Windows Configuration Designer is it actually describes it as enroll in Azure AD, but that's a misnomer really, as I think I mentioned earlier. But what it really means is Azure AD join and enroll in Intune because of the auto enrollment setting that sits behind that. So you configure that option and you'll be asked or you'll be prompted to download a bulk provisioning token from your tenant, and then that will be stored in the provisioning package. And then you'll use that provisioning package typically on a memory stick that you will go around and help pre-provision devices. So when you run out the box on a brand new machine, if it's got a memory stick inserted in at the appropriate time, the Windows will check, or a setup in Windows will check to see if there's a provisioning package, and you're prompted then to use it. And if that provisioning package contains the instructions to perform the Azure AD join, it will then do that. You can also launch a connected app. So if you're a standalone machine and you're not Azure AD joined or even registered, but you run Teams and you sign in using an organizational account, it will say, oh, that's an organizational account. Would you also like to allow your organization to manage the device? And that's something that's worth seeing. I'll show you that in the demo in a moment. So bulk provisioning, as I mentioned, is done through the Windows Configuration Designer tool, which is part of the Windows Assessment Deployment Kit, or Windows ADK. So you can install that Windows ADK on a management workstation. You can then select the option for Windows Configuration Designer, and on that management workstation, you can configure a provisioning package by running a wizard for a standard desktop. And one of the options is enroll in Azure AD, and then you obtain a token and you take it from there. So that then would be used to enroll, I think it's up to, well, it says there 20 devices, although you can extend that by following the link and looking at the instructions. Enrolling Android devices, you use the following procedure. Typically, you'll open the Google Play Store. You'll locate the Microsoft Intune Company Portal app and install it. You'll launch the app and you'll sign in using a Microsoft 365 subscription account, or your user will. Accept any settings that are prompted, and that will then activate your device into Endpoint Manager. iOS requires the MDM certificate, so we went through the process in an earlier session of installing that in Intune. Once that's in Intune, on the iOS device, navigate to the Apple Store, install the Intune Company Portal app, launch it and sign in using your organizational account, accept any new settings on your device, and you should be good to go. So in the demonstration, I'm going to show you a number of different ways in which you can enroll a Windows device into Intune, and then we'll go through a process of verifying the enrollment of those devices. Okay, so we're in the Intune Admin Center, and I'm looking at a review of the available devices. We can see We've got an iPhone, and we've got an Android phone and a couple of Windows computers. So that's all looking pretty good. I'm going to focus just on the Windows computers here. And then I'm going to, there's a number of ways I can do this, but typically I go to a machine and I can use the Settings app and choose Accounts, and I can then select Access Work or School and choose Connect. And then I can join the device to Azure Active Directory, and because I've configured auto-enrollment in MDM, it will also enroll the device in Intune. Alternatively, I can just enter my email address here and that will register the device and also auto-enroll it. Or in fact, I can also choose Enroll Only in Device Management and then select the option here. So the device will then just be in Intune. I'm not necessarily saying that it's a good idea to have a device that's running Windows that's only enrolled in MDM through Intune, but not in Azure AD. Probably isn't ideal, but it is possible. And it's more usually used when you've done the Azure AD join or register and you don't have automatic enrollment set, and therefore you have to perform as an additional task the enrollment. Another way to do this is to run a connected app. So if I load up Teams on this device, I think I've got Teams. Let's see. Yeah, Teams Work or School. So if I select that and say Get Started, it will ask me to sign in, not unreasonably. And so if I sign in as Alex W, and then I'll need to enter the password. There's the company branding. That's why it's important. There's the 2023 that I updated earlier. And then sign in. And this is it. Because I've signed in with a connected app, an app that's connecting to corporate data, it prompts me to allow my organization to manage my device. I can choose to deselect that and just say, no, just sign into this app. But if I say yes to do that and click OK, then that will mean that it will enroll my device. That's another way of performing the same task. So from a Windows perspective, you can either add your device to Azure AD, join it, and it will automatically MDM enroll as well, or you can separately perform that task in 2 stages if the administrator has configured it that way, or you can go into the Settings app and join, or you can choose, no, I want to do it through a connected app. So let's see if this works and just say OK to that. I'm doing a multi-factor authentication prompt on my phone. I'm going to approve that and then use my thumbprint. And hopefully that will then apply the policy to see what happens. So that's been done. So now it loads Teams. And let's flick over and see what's happened in the console. It does take sometimes a few minutes to refresh that, but we should see that device listed here at some point in the near future. While we wait, back in Windows, if we select the Settings app on our device and go to Accounts and then choose Access Work or School, you can see that it's connected an account here. We didn't specifically ask it to do that. We just ran an app and said allow it to manage, and it's now configured that. So you can see information that's listed here about mobile device management. So the device is being managed, and I can use the sync option to bring it up to date with any settings and configuration options. So that's going on in the background. In the demonstration, you learned how to enroll a device by using a work or school account and how to verify the enrollment of devices.